Hi, everybody. Thank you very much, Jan. So many people here. Great. Let's start. First, I will talk a little bit about the modern LLM capabilities. LLM is large language model, and I will call it later just a model. And when we are operating it in a business applications, not in chatbots, and we are not talking about developing of LLMs, but we are talking about systems when we are using large language model to develop some application that will have a value for the business, for the enterprise. So we all have context. Context, we have text, images, or speech. So this is what we provide to LLM when we call it. Then the LLM has some black magic in it and provides us, based on text, images, and speech, some output. And output is also text, one image, or speech. So as you see, it's very, very, very simple. So again, we put something here, call API method, and this API method will provide us with here. Super easy, super simple, same as human brain. And when we are talking about the business, we usually provide it with text, images, and speech, and we usually operate with just text. And text can be a message, it can be some actions to execute, some tool call, classification, some kind of structured output, anything. And we are limited with 200,000 of tokens here. This is our maximum size of the context. For Anthropic, for OpenAI, it's a little bit less, 128,000, and 8,000 of tokens to output. And to make you, just to clarify what is token instead of numbers, so it's 200,000 of tokens, it's around 250 pages of text, or it's around 100 of images, 1 megapixel size. This is what we can send. And what we can receive, it's around 5 to 10 pages of text. This is maximum. So this is our limitations when we work with these models. So now let's continue what Jan told, and let's discuss how LLM work. And LLM works the same way as a human brain, actually. Imagine that you are quality assurance engineer in some company, let's say Gurtam, go there for the very, very first day on your work. And you received email. Let it be event number 1, email with some text about there is a problem with the product, with the interface, user, or maybe support line asking for clarification. And you are for the very first day in this company. What you will do? You will ask your boss, your colleague, what to do, correct? And now, let's imagine that you are working in this company for 5 years and receive the same email with the same text. And most probably you will know what to do, either to create a ticket, to escalate this to a development team, respond that it's a concept, it's okay, and so on. So same with LLM. So if it's just nothing, if it's working with for the first day, a specialist, it will respond with some, so it needs some information. But if it will be amended with the enterprise knowledge through Retrieval-Augmented Generation, RAG, it will give you much better output. And in the end, you will have couple set of actions from the LLM, and then you can supply it more events, and it will complete, so perform some completion and provide for you some actions. So essentially, it's a very simple thing. And let's say we have some statements here, like I put statement 1, statement 2. And when we ask LLM to generate some output, it just selects the statements that we have in the context, connects it with some kind of general knowledge, and provide us with the output. So there is no special brain, special intelligence here. There is nothing. It's very simple. but it's very powerful. Let's take statement 1. I have a red car. Statement 1, I have a red car. Statement 2, I have a blue car. How do you think if I will send this to LLM and I will add question, what color my car is? How do you think what it will respond?
Purple.
Which? Purple. I made an experiment. My estimation was that it will respond one time that it's red, another time that it's red, for the third time it will be blue. Actually, I didn't expect that my experiment will be right, but it happened with GPT 3.5 turbo model, the most dummiest one. So I sent it, I have a red car, I have a red car, I have a blue car. What color my car is? Respond, your car is red. Great. Second time. Based on the information you provided, your car is red. Perfect. The third time. Based on the information provided, your car is blue. So it works. You can test it by your own. Then I tried the fourth one. Do you know what it answered? Based on the information provided, your car is both red and blue. This is how it works. So it's super dummy model, but it's operate only what you send it to the context plus some general knowledge to understand the links between words. Then I made another experiment. I asked it a question. What color are seats in my car? Reply with just one word. And it replied, multicolored. Then I will retry this question. It replied another color, then another color. So this is information. If the information is not available here, then the model will hallucinate something. This is the reason of hallucination. So it's very simple. When you don't have the information in the context, it will lie. But if you will give to the model, like I say, grounding, possibility to possibility to have like safe exit, I add the instruction. Grant your answer only on the information provided. When there is not enough information provided by the user, respond with I do not know. It responded, I don't know. This is how, so when you are working with ChatGPT, with Gemini, with Claude, with Grok, with all these language models, they are based on the general knowledge and they can hallucinate. When you are using these applications in enterprise, if you will not provide enough information, if you will not correctly instruct them, they can hallucinate. But if you will do everything correctly, they will work. And they will tell you always the truth. This is a really good thing. Okay, so what's here is important. It's important for us to supply into the context all the related information to our question, to our problem, to our observation, whatever it can be, and in order to instruct the model to operate only on this information and do it correctly. And we tried it, we tuned it, and it's not difficult actually. So it works in our systems, and you can also do similar things in your companies. But here is the most important thing. Enterprise knowledge and how to provide here this enterprise knowledge. Okay, so what you can do with LLM now in the business applications. So in business application, you can do the summarization. Summarization of all the information that is located here in the context, these 200 pages. You can summarize, and if all the information, and for summarization it is located in the context, it will provide you with a great result. This is number one business application that will work always good. Another application is translation. So the system can apply general knowledge and translate everything you have in a context to another language, or it can be not a language. In business applications, a good application will be to translate your platform, your code base, from legacy programming language or legacy framework to a new one, to a modern one. So if you have like many languages in your systems, legacy languages, and you want to remove them, avoid like multi-language platforms, you can do it with LLMs. The main problem will be for you to put everything in this context, because so you need to put headers or function definitions, train the model, but you can convert software to a modern stack with the LLM. Then structurization. What is structurization? It's extracting useful information from the data that you pass. For example, pre-filling the forms, or creating. So somebody sent email, and from this email you can extract the meaning of this email and automatically create some tickets with API and whatever. So extracting some important information and providing it in structurized form. This is also very easy job for model. And the fourth one is classification. Then you, based on your labels, you can classify the information. So all these 4 tasks operates only with the data that you have in the context and the general knowledge. So they are really easy to start with in your companies, in your maybe startups. So they are really easy task for LLMs. But LLM is not limited only for this. It can do reasoning. And how it can do reasoning? So remember, when you need to do the reasoning, or you are resolving a complex project or complex problem, what are you doing? I don't know what you are doing, but for example, I think about it in my head. I have a whiteboard, I have a paper, I can write something, I check if it works, and after the end, I have some solution, usually. Same happens to the model. So you, instead of just expecting an answer from it, you ask it to think, evaluate, and then provide the result. So the instruction in prompt for us, one of, I just will read it. Before answering the question, please think about it step by step. Within thinking text, during thinking, evaluate if your thinking and hypothesis are correct and corresponds to the actual knowledge. Finally, provide the final answer to user within result text. So it's from some kind of chatbots of us. And the thing is that within thinking text, there is a safe place for the model to think, and it thinking by generating the tokens. And here a sample from real case. Here is a thinking block. Like the question was, which of my Teltonica devices are moving through La Serena, somewhere in Latin America? And so model instructed to think, and it started to think. To find out which Teltonica devices have a road in the city of La Serena, we need to follow these steps: 1, 2, 3, 4. Then validating. It checks, is it thinking the correct, and extracts additional information. Let's validate our approach using the available tools. The validation reveals that there are no Teltonica devices in the user's account. All devices listed are quick link devices. That means we need to adjust the approach. Then it started to thinking again, and finally on Spanish provided an answer for the user. Answer actually was small, and thinking part is big. This is, if you know, OpenAI released their O1 preview model. This is the part, like they also probably call it model thinking, but they do not show this part. But this is what you can do with the simple models with Anthropic, and you can see how it's thinking. You can adjust it. You can train it how to think. So that is very easy, yeah. And with these things, you can actually simulate everything what a human brain can do. So you can supply it the image, supply it enough context information, and extract this action. You can create robots that will do anything. The only problem is the latency, because LLMs are not very quick, but it's solvable in the future. And the context size. You are limited with 200,000 tokens and just 8,000 of tokens for the output. This is the problem, and how do you solve it? To solve the problem, like with all the projects, you split it into parts. So if you have requests, then you have 2, there is some kind of result on a complex problem. So first you split it on task, and you ask your LLM to split the task or split the problem on multiple tasks, and then for each task you, in parallel or one by one, sequentially solve these problems. And some of these tasks are connected to enterprise knowledge. Some of these tasks can be not related to LLM at all. And this is what I call the enterprise AI platform. So all these small components are perfectly installed in Kubernetes, for example. They provide API, and you can separately work on these small components. So to make a great AI platform within an enterprise, you just need to make a great, good, small pieces of this platform, and it will work. Maybe the shared component will be the enterprise knowledge, and actually one of tasks can be summarize the result and add it to enterprise knowledge, so model can train itself like a human, so it can understand what's going on and add additional knowledge automatically to the enterprise knowledge. This is how self-training will work. So model can self-improve. Maybe it will train that at some point of time that human is not needed in this loop, but I hope not in our enterprises. Okay, now few more slides about privacy, security, and the cost. So when you're working with enterprise data, you need to read the contract with them, but all the most popular platforms like OpenAI and Anthropic, they claims in the contract written that they do not train their LLM based on the data that we send them via API. So they train when you talk with chatbot, but they do not train when you are using API to access them. Then the result of the response produced by the model is free of the claims from copyright perspective. So it means that if you ask a model to convert a program from one language to another, it means that the copyright of this work belongs to you. But they still store API logs for LLM for some limited time. Just need to understand that they still can sneak your data, and if you are sending customer data or data of your employees, you need to add these companies as a sub-processors of private data, but it's to your contract. But it's not a problem usually. So, and prices. The most advanced models on this market today, they cost around $3 per 1 million of tokens. And the output for almost all models, it's 5 times of the input tokens. So it's 5 times more expensive. And to give you understanding in normal numbers instead of tokens, so the cost of translation of email from some language to English, it's around 1 cent. And if you will implement a high quality documentation consulting bot, so replace some experts in your company with this bot, and the cost of one response, high quality response, will be around 10 cents. And if you will implement something like we implemented, that using widely tools, validating, revalidating, checking the information, create a big plan for the response and do very great things. The cost of resolved question will be around $1, maybe maximum $2 per question. And it's cheaper than a human. At the same time, you can lower the quality and pick a little bit worse models, there are a lot of, and make this price 10 times lower if you want. Now the second part of my presentation, it's more about the technical part. So let's look in details how working with the LLM looks like when we are using API. So we have 3 input parameters: tools, system, and messages. When you call any LLM to give you a chat completion, these 3 parameters are going to the context. Then there is a black magic with LLM. In the end, it provide you with some output, and this output can be a tool call or response. What is tool call? So if you see the models that do something, it's for you. Like for example, when you chatting with ChatGPT and it printing like searching internet, it actually do not, the LLM itself does not search for the internet. It's a platform that converted your input. The model tells, I want to search for the internet, and you provide the search internet as like a function for the model, like a tool. You perform this tool call, you do it from your environment, then add to messages the request for the tool call, the response, and send again for chat completion. And then you can do as many cycles as the model needs. So you supply model with tools, and it's some output, it says, I wanted to call this tool with these arguments. You execute, add again, and again, and again. All the time it's like a separate calls, but they're hidden. And from user perspective, it looks like LLM doing something. But actually it's you that who is doing something, who is working with the information, with the output provided the model. And at the end, it will give you some kind of response. And you can break this execution at some point if you want to stop it on a tool call. Here, what is called prompt, more generic term. Then let's talk about the prompt structure. What you put in the prompt, and the thing is that it's wild west. So there is no specific prompt structure exist. You can write there what you want. You can use any language. You can use any structure. You can write in Markdown, XML, JSON. You can even send a program as a prompt. It doesn't matter. There's no rules. This is good part. But at the same time, each word matters. The order of words, the order of sentences, the way how you structure information when you send the model, everything matters. Whatever model you will pick, it's OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral, Gemini, Grok, whatever you will pick, everything matters. And at the same time, so they will respond differently. And at the same time, if you will pick a different version of the same model from the same provider, it also matters. So they can respond absolutely different. It means that each prompt is only focused on a specific model, specific version. And when there will be a new model, new version, and if you will switch, it means that you may waste all your work. And to give you understanding of the dynamics in this field, I started to work with GenAI via API approximately a year ago, and the top model at the time was the one released by OpenAI, GPT-4 Turbo 11.06 preview. After that, within 1 year, they released GPT-4 Turbo not preview, then GPT-4 Turbo third generation, maybe already 4. They also released GPT-4 Omni, GPT-4 Omni second generation. Then they released 01 something. What? 4 mini. Yeah, mini. Yeah, so okay. A lot of different models. Then also Anthropic, they were Claude 2.0, 2.1. After that, they created very high-level model Claude 3 Opus, Claude 3 Haiku, and Claude 3 Sonnet. Claude 3 Sonnet was the worst model in this area, but in 3 months they released Claude 3 and 5 Sonnet. And this Claude 3 and 5 Sonnet became a leading model in the world. Then months ago they released Claude 3 5 Sonnet version 2, or generation 2. So, and last year, not only models, but tool calls appeared. They were not tool calls 1.5 years ago. So we should instruct models to create output, to call tools that we create. So so there was a demand on the market. They created a control from tokens to produce for models, produce valid JSON. They added vision. There were no vision. Speech appearing now. Prompt cache. Batch messaging. So a lot of things appearing. So actually it's very, very weird. So all work that we did, let's say people that did a year ago, you can waste it and create it again, because the technology changed a lot. So if I was happy, no, I was lucky that I started just 1 year ago. If I started 2 years ago, then I don't know, I will not be able to implement things that I implemented within this year. The good news for you is that legacy models are available for years. What I see, it can be 3-5 years. So whatever you will create, it will stay here and you can use it. So you are free to choose go with a new version or stick to one. And I have another good news that top GenAI influence claims that model scaling has plateaued. It's the very fresh information, like within 2 months for now, 1 month. It means that there is not enough data to train better LLM. There is no enough hardware resources to make it better. It means that the pace will now decrease, and it's very good because it means that exactly now is the moment when you start and can start apply this technology in the business application. Because in business you don't need this pace. This pace you need for research and development. And business you need stability. And it's exactly the moment right now. And you're lucky you have this opportunity. You can start do some kind of startups. You can improve your company. Everything depends on you, right in the moment. Let's go further. Nobody knows how they put tools, system, and messages into the context. I mean, these companies. What I guessed from Anthropic cookbook that tools is located in the beginning of the prompt, system message in the middle, and messages from user is located in the end. Why it's important? Because the highest attention of the model in the end, like with human brain, whatever you put, send it in the tail, it will remember and will more follow this. But nobody actually knows how and where it is located. But let's talk about tools, system, and messages, what you put there. For tools, you have name, description, and arguments, and the typical tool from Anthropic cookbook look like this. The name is get weather. Description is get the current weather in a given location, and the scheme of arguments is location of type string, and description the city and state, again San Francisco. And the question of user, what is the weather like in San Francisco? And the expected output of this model will be call me get weather tools with arguments location is San Francisco. Then you retrieve the weather information, send it to the model, and model will respond to a user with this information. So it's very easy actually. From my experience, what I can suggest you for tools for how to apply them efficiently. First of all, make it very simple. So I give you a few examples from us. So get device information tool with device ID argument. So do not name arguments like argument A, argument B, argument C. Everything matters, you know. Try to put as much attention to the function name, to the arguments name as you can. So another sample is search protocols and name. It will be easier to model to understand because model just reads these tokens, reads this text, and try to imagine what function to call and when. The thing is, it's not very strict. You need always validate what tool what's the name of the tool that model returned to you and the arguments, because it can hallucinate. And actually, hallucination is good for us. We had get device information tool. It was just device here because it was like multi-argument. But then I saw in logs like it asked it to call get device logs, get device messages. Why? Because it needs this information, and it just assumed that if there is a get device information tool, then maybe there is a tool get device messages. So for me, it was a good opportunity to modify this tool, and I add logs and messages to this tool. In some cases, I adding the tool that model wants, or giving it some kind of safe exit to understand what action it need to do to achieve its result. You can do cross-referencing. Like in this case, you can inject instructions exactly in the descriptions of arguments. For example, get device information and device ID, and in the description of device ID, I would put ID of the device. You can list all devices using list devices function, for example. It actually should not be that straightforward, but you can create instructions inside. And when model want to retrieve the device information, it looking for device ID, it can understand how to get this device ID if it does not know at the moment. Caching. The new functionality appeared couple of years, or couple of months. We are saving $50K per year with this functionality. So if you want to save money, use caching, prompt caching, but you can read it in the internet. And about the volumes, so in our cases, so 20 tools are absolutely okay. Maybe 50 tools are okay, but if you supply hundreds of tools to the model, it can be a little bit, so it may be not very sure which kind of tool to use. So use tools smartly, understand them. It's not just map each API call to a separate tool. Maybe you can aggregate some information in some tools. And then you can manipulate. So if model requests from you some tool, you now have you can activate this tool, generate some additional messages for the model, but you can also manipulate of the contents of the prompt. You can remove some messages, you can change anything. So actually you can do whatever you want. So it's wild west. Then the system message. In there you define the role of the model. You add some generic knowledge. In our cases, we split all knowledge about the business, about the company, about the product into two sets. There is a generic knowledge. Generic knowledge is just like a framework of understanding what is the product about. So the model knows like webhook. What is webhook? It's not just generic webhook, but webhook in the product. What is device? What is channel? So it's kind of like a static system of knowledge that makes its model understanding of the terminology better. And then also you put here dynamic knowledge from the Retrieval-Augmented Generation system from vector database. You also inject dynamic data, add programming instructions here in the system messages, usually defined response format, and activate this chain of thought. So this wonderful instruction that forces the model to think before provides response. It's called chain of thought. You can Google it. A lot of activations, a lot of samples on the internet available. What I want to say here, the most important part is 90% of the context size lays here. Generic knowledge, data from RAG, or knowledge of the business, and dynamic data. This is 90% of your context size. What does it mean? It means that not you, if you are a developer, not you who are programming the model, not you who are defining the tone, the sentences that it output, but those guy or girl who write in the documentation or who write in the JSON scheme for the dynamic data, they are controlling your model. And it means that you should work in the team. And whenever you need to change something, first look here in the company knowledge, how to change it, what to do, instead of your instructions. Do not program it with your instructions, program it with the knowledge. But I will cover it a little bit later. In the messages, you use them to provide the communication between user and assistant. This is the only place for now to add image data or speech data for the model, so within user messages. You're required to send at least one user message. That's why we are covering them today. Model looks from the very last user message to understand what it needs to do, actually. So it's the most important message is the last message with user role, and you can use the user messages. You can use everything what I talk just about the system message. So you do not have to use system message. You can put everything in a user message. Just switch the role. For example, this is a very good program that translates everything to English and detects the code of it's the system that detects the language code of the message, and if it's on English, it do nothing, just reports that it's on English. If it's not on English, it reports the code of the language of the message and translate it to English. And I will read just a little bit to understand. It consists from one user message, and it sounds like this. Your task is to translate the text to English in response, so the role. Then some information what to do. In the end, there are XML text, and arguments text placed here. So here you can see a very nice, very simple, very bulletproof program for LLMs that will translate everything to English and report the code. And it will retain the syntax such as Markdown, JSON, HTML, or any other formatting. So it will translate only the meaning, only the text. So you see, and it consists of just one single user message. So you can use this for these small applications. You don't have to create and split it to system, user, tools. The knowledge. So this is how knowledge for Flaspy for our product looks from user side. There is from chronology-based article, there is a channel, you see header, then list item, create a channel, then there is an image. I know that you cannot see it, but there are 4 steps on the image, like press here, then press here, then press here, and save to create, yeah? Just on the image. Then point your tracker and some image and shows you information. This is how it looked like for user, and this is the same information how it looks like for LLM when you convert this to the chunk. It's 658 bytes of the text, and the text is channel white space. Create a channel, markdown link, open telematics with so it's just long line of text with no special separators. This is how we load the knowledge in the model. And it actually works very good. So it's just words, but model can understand them. What you need to know when you are working with the knowledge, because knowledge is very important. First, you need to avoid leaving essential information only on images. You need to add this essential information to text, because nowadays models, embedding models, do not see images. You need to put everything into the text. This is number 1 task for you when you will rewrite or adopt the knowledge, company knowledge. Use only English. No matter what language will be used for programming LLM, no matter what language will be used by user, you just use English language for all the knowledge, for all the documentation. One single language. Why? Because models are trained on English. And English is maximum, so the information you put, it's compressed in maximum size, in minimums. So the amount of tokens for the same information in English is the lowest. It means that you can put more information into the context, more useful information. Model will automatically translate this, apply this knowledge and translate it to any language, so it's not a problem. Just use English in your documentation. You need to clean up any ambiguity and include not actual history, because if you will take a company knowledge wiki for whatever for 10 years, within 10 years so many things changed there. This is task number 1, to black hole or remove, to mark some pages that are not more actual, remove this ambiguity. Because remember this statement 1, I have red car, I have red car, I have blue car, and if your model provides you with variability in the response, actually it means that your knowledge contains this variability. And the first task is to look into the knowledge. You find the place where this information was retrieved and fix it. Then, like with the prompt structure, how you mix the knowledge into the prompt, how you add it, how to chunk it, how to sort it. Everything matters, but you can do whatever you want. For example, for us in Flespi, I showed you the chunk. We added like a big JSON array of unstructured of chunks, and model, even the cheapest model, can perfectly see it. Taking another example within our company, Nova platform, they added knowledge to the LLM in user message and like a context information, and also it worked. So it actually depends on you how to add this information, but in general it will work in any format. The chunk size, again, I can only say about us, the size of the chunk that is the best for us. The best for us chunk is from block information. We use up to 4 kilobytes of the text because I need smaller chunks. It's more like marketing stuff. And knowledge base for us is like a reference guide documentation, the ground truth, up to 8 or 10 kilobytes of the text, which is the chunk sizes. And we split it on based on the HTML representation, on headers, on all the things. But it's our stuff, how we see, we parse it. You can do whatever you want in your system. Advice from me to use JSON. You can use JSON. You don't need it to you don't need to prettify it. You can just make it the very short compressed form. Believe me, model will see it. Even the cheapest model will see it. I don't know how but they are trained to detect these patterns. They can see it. So there is no matter. But prettified JSON will eat 20-30% of more tokens for you. And with the knowledge, it's a large amount. You can put all the data in XML text just to mark them. Here's the data within text, then knowledge within text, and here is my instructions within special text or just in the system prompt. This is up to you. But remember that knowledge is 90% of your prompt instructions. So next one is which model to pick. And I just leave here only two providers, OpenAI and Anthropic. And I started with OpenAI. All other are worse. All other for chatbots. These are the best nowadays. And my personal choice is Anthropic because they have the best models that you can use the best reasoning. From API perspective, I think OpenAI is a little bit better, easier to use. But with Anthropic, you have a better engine. So here you maybe have a little bit better tires, but the engine here is always the best. For already, I think, 5 or 6 months. So they are the best company, AI company in the world. Also, I think that OpenAI is moving towards B2C segment, so to ChatGPT users. And releasing models more focused on general knowledge, more focused on these users, more user experience. So they are conquering B2C segment. And Anthropic is especially companies that focus on enterprises. But it's my personal opinion. But anyway, if you will go to statusopenai.com, statusanthropic.com, and you will see the uptime is very bad. So here is major outage, 35 minutes. Partial outage, 1 hour, 52 minutes. Do you want your business to depend on this? Maybe in Claude, in Vertex, you see uptime is 4 nines. Maybe not bad. I think they do not have enough load here. But actually, the stability is better. In the beginning of the year, it was even worse. My recommendation here is to use a wrapper on top of any of these platforms, or maybe it can be a third, fourth, fifth platform. You should have something in your company. There are a lot of libraries that can route actual calls to one model, to one provider, to another provider. You you need to understand that the stability here is bad. Also, I noticed with OpenAI, when OpenAI is down, Anthropic also tends to be down. I don't know what happens. That's why you need to repeat the calls, because some calls are still working, but they are somewhere late. Maybe all the users also using this. Take one or another model. And my list of models that I'm using for this task, and this information is only up to date. Maybe in next month it can be no more actual. So for text embedding, I prefer to use text embedding through large. It's OpenAI model. It's kind of old model because it was released in the beginning of this year, but it works good, still good. It's not on the top of MTB leaderboard, but still works good. And the main advantage of this model is the stability, because embedding model, it means for you the ability to load the knowledge, and completion may fail. You can switch to another model, but if you don't have enough knowledge, your entire GenAI system will stop working. So it means the stability is number one here, and the stability of this model is good. However, I noticed recently that it's going to be worse, and my next step will be to use local model, because it's super important to have good embedding. Just I stick to this embedding because so far, because it's really good on a large volumes of the data, on the terabytes of data, to process terabytes data, we are paying just $2. No, so it's when we will run local LLM, we will pay $5,000 per month just to run it, just to run the hardware. So this model is super cheap, still stable, and we are still stick to it. Then there is a model Claude 3 and 5 Sonnet version generation 1. This is number one and the only one model that tell you the truth. It never lies if you instruct it. All other models tend to lie. This one never. So you would like to use it for documentation and for summarization, translation. So it never hallucinates if instructed correctly. Then there is a rack knowledge. So you know these models, if you ask them with a task like give me questions that I need to answer to be able to provide a good completion for these messages, and all models will give you different questions in different formats. And Claude 3 Opus is the most expensive model and the most smartest, and its questions are the best. So the knowledge that you retrieve it based on these questions is the better knowledge compared to all other models. But it's kind of slow, and that's why we don't use it for the question, but still the experience is the questions are the best if you are towards quality. Extracting information from images, for me it's GPT-4 Turbo, some version, and all other models, they have a better vision capability. But so what we do with images, for any images provided into the system, to a chat or when users are communicating with our system, we create a textual description of these images so that we are able further to work with images like text. So we're extracting all identifiers, all the available information, and the information provided by this model is the best that we can use further. All other models are not very good for it. Although their vision capability is much better, but they are providing the information in not a good format. And finally, my favorite, the ones that do really good any kind of complex tasks, is Claude 3 and 5 Sonnet, the latest version released months ago. This is the first model that I made that can say no to user. No. Can you imagine who we have tried? Because models tried to complete. It said no. One of the very also nice facts, it's responded, hey, but you need to look on my previous message. Here I described you everything. Can you imagine this from the model? Such level of intelligence. So this one. And yeah, I'm almost done. Two more things to say. So, the question for me was, am I able to replace a CEO in Gurtam with a digital copy, with a LLM technology, with AI? The answer is yes, I can do it. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I walked home from work and I understood that I can do it. I can do it. It's not difficult. So you see, I can give it tools, provide vision, speech, hire a team to create a knowledge and put a company history. So I can do it, actually. I can instruct it. The problem is the cost. The cost of it and the time to implement it, I'm estimated it's around a team of 3 persons, 3 engineers, and it will about 3 to 6 months to develop it, and maybe 6 more months to adopt and to get used. And then these 3 developers will continue work on this system just to maintain it. And I think that my salary is lower. So there is no profit in replacing me with AI. But if you will take a company, say Microsoft, Google, and will take not a CEO but a second or third line of managers with the same task, with a good scalability of this solution, the same team of 3 engineers, maybe 5 engineers, and 2 project managers, we will be able to automate them and replace and maintain this. So same can happen to any person, any company. So just consider the scalability of this solution. So if you are working in a small company or if you are a startup and you are doing a lot of different tasks, a lot of different expertises, if you are a developer and doing front end, back end, writing the documentation, consulting with the customers, you are not replaceable. But if you are a developer that is very narrow in, let's say, only front end or only back end, or you are only consulting your customers, and you have 100 of similar developers in your company, I think you have 3, 5, 10 years, or before, if company will go this way, before the company will be able to implement the solutions that will automate your work. And you can be part of this solution, actually. Remember the agriculture, peasants, and tractor. Yeah? So there was around 100 peasants and 1 tractor and 1 driver of this tractor. So there were no drivers before the tractor, so drivers appears. Also appeared companies that produce and manufactured these tractors. So some work seats were removed, but some new appeared. And it's just you who made the choice, stay on this level, or create the technologies that will implement the task for this level. And the very last slide from me, it's about the diversity of AI. So many people here and so many AI systems in the world. And I think that when people are talking about the AI assistant, they have some experience with AI assistant maybe from 3 years ago, and they think that AI assistants or AI systems are the same everywhere, but it's not. Each company have own AI assistant, will have. This AI assistant will be totally different, like engineers, like a developer in Gurtam and developer in Microsoft. They're both developers, but they're totally different with the culture, with the language, with the technologies, with the processes, same with AI systems. Even if AI systems is from external platform and installed in the company, they are still trained or like amended with the knowledge from different sources. So the knowledge will be different and they will respond differently. So the thing is that there is no common AI system in the world. So you are creating your own AI, and it will be distinct from all other AI or AI systems in the world. And I suggest you will create the best AI systems, because from our experience, users do not want to talk with AI. They're afraid that they're dummy, but they're not. And let's turn this page and make experience of our users better, so that they believe in that AI assistants or AI systems can be of good quality. Thank you.